The apartment always felt smaller at night. Maybe it was the way the dim kitchen light bled into the living room, or how the silence seemed to press against the walls. Either way, Adrian could hear everything: the hum of the fridge, the soft creak of the couch, and the sound of Liam's bare feet padding across the carpet. Liam had just come back from the gym, shirt clinging to his body, skin glistening faintly. He tossed his water bottle on the counter and collapsed face down onto the couch, groaning into the cushion. "My shoulders are killing me," Liam mumbled, his voice muffled but warm with exhaustion. "You ever give massages?" Adrian looked up from his laptop. He'd been answering a message from Marc, his boyfriend, still 2 time zones away. The glow of Marc's text on the screen felt like a reminder of something steady, something safe. But Liam, lying there, shirt riding up to reveal the slope of his lower back, felt like something else entirely. "I've done a few," Adrian said carefully. Liam tilted his head toward him, a lazy smirk playing at his lip. "Come on. 5 minutes. My muscles are fried." Adrian hesitated. This was normal, friends gave each other back rubs. Roommates helped each other out. But Liam wasn't just a friend, and Adrian knew it. He'd spent months pretending not to notice how Liam walked around shirtless in the mornings, or how he sat too close during movies, their knees brushing like it meant nothing. Still, he got up. Liam shifted, giving him space on the couch. Adrian knelt beside him, placing his hands on the broad planes of Liam's shoulders. The heat of his skin seeped into Adrian's palms instantly. "Damn, you're tense," Adrian said, kneading along the ridge of muscle. Liam hummed, the sound low and satisfied. "Feels good." Adrian focused on the motion, slow circles with his thumbs, dragging his hands down along the center of Liam's back. He could smell the faint salt of sweat mixed with Liam's clean, woody body wash. Every breath Liam took seemed to deepen the rhythm of Adrian's touch. "You're way better at this than I thought," Liam murmured, voice half-lidded with relaxation. "That's either a compliment or an insult." "Definitely a compliment," Liam said, leaning back just slightly into Adrian's hands. His shoulder blades moved under Adrian's fingers, flexing with every shift. Adrian swallowed, his own pulse ticking faster. He told himself to focus on the muscles, not the way Liam's skin felt under his thumbs, not the warmth blooming under his own collar. "You can go lower, you know," Liam said without opening his eyes. Adrian's hands drifted lower, brushing the top of Liam's waist. He tried to keep it clinical, mechanical. The couch was quiet except for the sound of his fingers pressing into warm skin and the occasional groan from Liam. "You better not stop now," Liam added, almost teasing. Adrian forced a small laugh, but inside, the words stuck. Better not stop. As if Liam liked this more than he should. As if maybe Adrian wasn't imagining the tension between them. He finished with one last press along the base of Liam's neck. "All right," Adrian said, standing before he could think too much. "That's your 5 minutes." Liam rolled his shoulders, glancing over his shoulder with that same easy grin. "Guess I owe you one." Adrian went back to his laptop, Marc's unread message still waiting. His fingers hovered over the keyboard, but his mind stayed in the living room, replaying the way Liam had leaned into him, the sound of his voice when he said "don't stop." And for the first time since moving in, Adrian wondered what it would feel like if he didn't. It happened again the very next night. Adrian was halfway through reheating leftovers when Liam appeared in the kitchen doorway, rubbing the back of his neck like he'd been waiting for an excuse. His hair was still damp from the shower, a single bead of water trailing from his temple down the curve of his throat. "My shoulders are still killing me," Liam said, leaning casually against the frame. "Think you could, work your magic again?" Adrian tried to play it cool, stabbing at the food in the microwave. "You're going to get spoiled." "That's the plan," Liam said with a lazy grin. They ended up in the living room again, but this time Liam stripped his shirt off before even lying down. He tossed it onto the arm of the couch like it had no relevance at all. Adrian's eyes lingered for a fraction of a second too long, tracing the lines of muscle, the slight dip of his lower back. Adrian positioned himself beside him, hands finding the warm, bare expanse of skin. This time there was no warm-up. His thumbs pressed firmly into the base of Liam's neck, sliding down along his spine. Liam exhaled slowly, the sound low and unguarded. "You're really good at this," Liam murmured, voice heavier than last night. "Better than Sophie." Adrian's hands paused, just for a heartbeat. "Your girlfriend gives you back rubs?" "Gave," Liam corrected. "She's been busy. Distracted." Adrian didn't press for details, but the words hung in the air like an open door. He worked lower, kneading into the thick muscles just above Liam's waist. His fingertips brushed bare skin in ways that didn't feel entirely accidental anymore. Liam didn't move away. If anything, he shifted minutely closer, giving Adrian more space to roam. Halfway through, Liam shifted onto his side, then onto his back, stretching his arms above his head. He kept Adrian's hands exactly where they were, guiding them with a casual pressure. His chest rose and fell under Adrian's palms, each breath deeper than the last. "Don't stop," Liam said. It wasn't teasing this time. His tone had dropped, the kind of voice that carried weight, the kind that could pull a person in before they even knew they were moving. Adrian's hands stayed on him, tracing slow, deliberate circles over his chest, down the slope of his ribs. His own breath had gone shallow. He could feel the warmth radiating off Liam, smell the faint mix of soap and skin. "You're different when you're relaxed," Adrian said, the words slipping out before he could stop them. Liam's eyes, just out of the frame, hidden from view, lingered on him. "Maybe I just need the right person to get me there." It was a simple sentence, but Adrian felt it like a hand on the inside of his ribcage. Mark's face flashed in his mind, or rather, the sound of Mark's voice on their last call, telling him he missed him. Liam's stomach tensed briefly under Adrian's hand, then softened again as Adrian's fingers skimmed dangerously close to the waistband of his shorts. There was a choice here, one that could still be pulled back before it meant anything. "You sure Sophie would be okay with this?" Adrian asked, voice quieter now. Liam gave a half-smile. "She's not here. You are." The words slid into Adrian like heat through ice, melting whatever restraint he'd been holding onto. He didn't push further, not tonight. But the line between them had shifted, and they both knew it. Adrian finished the massage, slower than necessary, as if ending it would break something fragile and new between them. When he finally leaned back, Liam stayed lying there, arms still behind his head, the ghost of a grin at the corner of his mouth. "See? Better than Sophie." Adrian stood, forcing his voice steady. "Good night, Liam." But the truth was, it didn't feel like good night at all. It felt like the start of something they shouldn't want, but both did. The rain started just after midnight, drumming against the windows hard enough to drown out the TV. Adrian sat on the couch, scrolling absently, the room dim except for the shifting light from the screen. Liam padded in barefoot, a blanket draped over his shoulders. His hair was still damp from a late shower, the ends darkening the fabric where it touched. "Power's flickering in my room," he said, glancing toward the hallway. "Mind if I crash here for a bit?" Adrian shrugged, but his pulse had already picked up. "Sure." Liam sat beside him, the couch dipping with his weight. The blanket slipped off one shoulder, exposing the curve of muscle and the faint gleam of skin. The air between them felt charged, every movement amplified by the low hum of rain. "Cold," Liam muttered, shifting closer until their thighs brushed. Without asking, he spread the blanket over both of them, their legs touching under the thick weave. Adrian could smell the clean mix of soap and skin again, this time sharper in the enclosed space. The warmth of Liam's body seeped into him, erasing the small gap that had been there seconds ago. "You know," Liam said, a half-smile in his voice, "this would be a good time for another back rub." Adrian laughed under his breath. "You're relentless. And you're good at it," Liam countered, already turning slightly so Adrian's hand could find his shoulder. Adrian's fingers pressed into warm muscle, kneading slowly. The blanket slipped lower, revealing more skin. He moved down along Liam's side, feeling the tight line of his ribs, the subtle catch of breath that followed each touch. "You're tense," Adrian said. "Maybe you're the reason," Liam replied, voice lower now. Adrian's hands slowed, caught between retreat and something riskier. Liam shifted again, turning until he was facing Adrian. The movement brought them close, too close, with the blanket forming a small, private world around them. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The rain filled the silence, and the dim flicker from the TV traced shadows over their shoulders and hands. Then Liam's hand lifted, brushing lightly against Adrian's arm, fingers lingering. "You ever think about crossing a line?" Adrian's throat tightened. "Depends on the line." "This one," Liam murmured, and before Adrian could form an answer, Liam leaned in. The first touch of lips was slow, almost hesitant, like they were testing the weight of the choice. Then it deepened, Liam's hand finding the back of Adrian's neck, pulling him closer. Adrian's fingers curled into the fabric of the blanket, the taste of heat and rain in the air between them. It wasn't a kiss between friends. It was hungry, searching, an unspoken agreement that they weren't going to pretend anymore. When Liam broke away, his breath was unsteady. "Been thinking about that since the first time you touched me." Adrian couldn't answer. His mind was full of Marc, his voice, his trust, but his body was pressed against Liam's, and it didn't want to move. The blanket shifted again as Liam's hand trailed down Adrian's side, fingertips dragging slowly over his shirt. Adrian's hands moved without permission, sliding along Liam's ribs, feeling the way he exhaled under the touch. Every second stretched, each breath louder in the space they'd created. They weren't just testing a line anymore, they'd stepped over it, left it behind. Eventually, Liam leaned back, still close enough for their knees to touch. "Guess we can't say that was just a massage." Adrian's voice was rougher than he meant. "Guess not." They stayed under the blanket a while longer, neither saying they should stop, neither reaching for the remote. The rain kept falling, the world outside disappearing in the steady rhythm of it. And deep down, Adrian knew this wasn't the last time. Morning came too quickly. The rain had stopped, but the apartment felt heavier, like the air still carried last night's heat. Adrian lingered in his room, staring at the ceiling, willing himself not to think about the way Liam's mouth had felt on his. A soft knock broke the stillness. Liam's voice followed, casual as if nothing had happened. "Coffee's on." When Adrian walked into the kitchen, Liam was leaning against the counter, bare-chested, hair still messy from sleep. He slid a mug across the counter without looking up. "Morning." Adrian took it, their fingers brushing for a second too long. "Morning." They didn't talk about it. Not the kiss, not the blanket, not the fact that both of them had someone else. Instead, they moved around each other in quiet motions, Liam bumping his hip against Adrian's to reach the sugar, Adrian stepping closer than necessary to grab a plate. Halfway through breakfast, Adrian's phone buzzed. Marc's name lit up the screen. He hesitated before answering. "Hey," Marc's voice was warm, steady. "Didn't hear from you last night. Everything okay?" Adrian's eyes flicked to Liam, who was leaning back against the counter, sipping his coffee, watching him. "Yeah," Adrian said, forcing a smile into his voice. "Just long night. Power went out." Marc chuckled. "I miss you. Can't wait to see you next month." "Yeah," Adrian said again, but the word felt heavy. "Me too." When the call ended, Liam set his mug down. "You going to tell him?" Adrian shot him a look. "Tell him what?" Liam's grin was slow, deliberate. "Exactly." The rest of the morning passed in fragments. The sound of the shower running, the faint thud of Liam's bedroom door, the way Adrian's mind kept replaying the feel of Liam's hand sliding over his ribs. That night, the tension didn't fade. They ended up in the living room again, a movie playing low, neither of them paying attention. Liam stretched out, his foot brushing Adrian's leg, staying there. "You're quiet tonight," Liam said. "Trying not to think about things I shouldn't." Liam's gaze flicked to him. "You ever think maybe you should?" The question hung there, heavy, almost staring. Adrian didn't answer. He didn't have to. Liam shifted closer, his arm draping along the back of the couch, fingers grazing the back of Adrian's neck. The touch was small, almost innocent, but it burned like a promise. "You could walk away right now," Liam said quietly. Adrian's chest tightened. "So could you." Liam's smirk deepened. "I don't want to." Neither moved for a moment. The movie flickered across the wall, throwing shadows over their shoulders. Somewhere outside, a car passed, the sound fading into the hum of the fridge. Then Liam broke the stillness. "Massage." It was half a question, half an invitation. Adrian's pulse kicked hard. "You're addicted." "Only to the way you do it." The words landed like a touch themselves. Slowly, deliberately, Adrian shifted, his hands finding familiar territory, the slope of Liam's shoulders, the heat of his skin. Liam leaned forward, his head dropping forward in a quiet sigh, muscles loosening under Adrian's palms. "You better not stop," Liam murmured, the same phrase as before, but now there was no teasing in it. Adrian's hand stilled for just a second, then kept moving, slower this time, tracing every line, every edge. His breath matched Liam's now, low and steady, like they were sinking without trying. The couch felt smaller, the world quieter, until there was only the heat between them. And in that quiet, Adrian knew, he wasn't stopping.